Hey, you lovely people, and I hope everybody is doing well considering where we are in the world these days. Things are crazy. And don't you guys worry, I'm still working on content for my new Redbubble store and I plan to share that with you, but I thought while that's underway, I wanted to bring you some interim content. So, considering a lot of you guys are either print-on-demand designers or graphic designers that are still in training, shall we say, and still learning how to work in Illustrator and in design in general, one of the main things most designers need to learn is how to manipulate type in destructive ways without inherently losing the integrity of the actual letter forms. So there's loads of ways that we can manipulate and destruct type, and I'm just showing you the absolute basics. Once you know these fundamentals, you can use these in a myriad of ways to make your type extra special. So don't look at this tutorial as this is all you need to know about manipulating type. This is just the foundation. But let's just get these in the bag and see what you can do to produce really awesome destructive text designs. Okay, so let's go through these one by one, and we'll start with this one up here on the top left. So this method basically involves two main parts. You have a shape and you have the text. And what you're telling the text to do is to take on the form of the shape. So how that works is super simple. So in this particular example, I used a flattened circle and I cut off the edges. But to show you the method, I'm just going to leave it as a flattened circle. We'll type out our text. And I'm just going to change the color of this so we can differentiate properly. And then I just want to place the text anywhere within my circle. And I want to make sure that the shape that we're using to shape our text is in the front. So make sure we bring that to the front. Select both objects. We'll go into Object, Envelope Distort, Make with Top Object. Boom. So you'll notice this is slightly different because we didn't cut off the ends of our circle, but that's the process and that's all you need to know. One thing I will note is you'll notice that we're still within the bounds of the circle. And if we want to be able to manipulate the color and the shape of this text, what we want to do is make sure that we expand it. So now these are all individual shapes that you can manipulate and change the color of, etc. Simple as that. I have two additional examples here to show you. And this was just using a perfect circle to put our text in. Same method, try it out, see what you can do. For this example, what we're doing is we're creating some text and slicing it. Really simple, guys. Let's type out our text, make it a little bigger. And what I want to do before I do anything else is just create outlines. So these are now individual shapes. I want to go to my line tool and draw a line wherever we want to effectively slice this text. Boom. And then I want to select both my line and my text, go into Pathfinder, and right at the bottom left, there's an option to divide. Click on divide and we're done. But what you'll notice is this is all just one grouped shape. So to be able to manipulate it, I want to ungroup everything. So now these are individual elements. And then to make things easier, I'm just going to select just the top part of the letters and group those, and then group the bottom separately so we can move this without having to worry too much, and then play around. Simple as that. So here are some other examples that I've done. Same concept, just different treatments. You can either choose to color them differently, Instead of having an angle, you can just literally pull it up. You can add a little bit of drop shadow here. I wouldn't recommend using drop shadows when you're creating designs for prints or t-shirts. You'll lose some of that kind of detail, but it's just another way that you can enhance that effect. So in this example, what we've done is we've manipulated the anchor points on our text. This works well if you've got letter forms that are long and straight. It wouldn't work as well with letters like W or M. So these particular words and font choice work really well for this. So let's show you how we did it. Make it a little bigger so we can see. And I used alternate Gothic number 1D for this one. We'll select that. And remember, we're deconstructing this text, so we want to make sure it's always in outline, so they're individual shapes. So what I did is we use our direct selection tool, and I'm going to drag a box over the anchor points that I want to manipulate. So we'll stop it about there. And then while holding shift, I will pull these up. Boom. And remember, it depends on where you use this. So if I had to do it from the bottom, this G is going to be a little weird because it's going to do that. So play around. Sometimes that kind of thing will work, other times not. But this is about manipulating the anchors on the text. We're not changing the integrity of the letter forms, we're just stretching them. So here's some further examples of how we've not just manipulated our anchor points, we've used the slicing technique as well. We've played around with color, different ways to slice and add detail, and you can see how through experimentation, playing around, you can meld all these different effects to come up with stuff that's completely unique. Now, our final example is a bit of a dark horse because I've seen people use this and it really doesn't look good. I think this type of warped text needs to be done in moderation, so I would use this sparingly, but it's also just a useful method to have. So how we do warped text is, that's not how you spell hello, is it? Get our text, convert it into outlines. I'm going to go into Object. Now we're going to use the same envelope distort menu that we used for the very first example. But whereas that example was using a pre-existing shape and your text and melding them, this is using the warp tool. So what you'll have here are different options to warp your text. You've got the arc lower, arc upper, loads of different treatments that you can put on this text. But you're always constrained to these shapes, whereas the first method, even though you could replicate it by using bulge, it's always a good idea to know additional methods that give you more control, because you do have more control when you can custom make your shape to fit your text as opposed to using these kind of presets. But these can be a great method to do kind of text along a banner or ribbon kind of thing. There's loads of good reasons to use this type of effect. But there should be a reason to use it, you know. As I say, if you use it incorrectly, it can take away from an otherwise good design. And then within each of these options, you can then manipulate the amount of bend that you have. You have more control over your edges, vertical and horizontal. So, you know, it's worth playing around and seeing what it's capable of. But again, like with the first example, make sure that once you've created this and you're happy with it and you know you don't need to manipulate it any more than that, go into Object and expand it. So you're working now with your individual shapes. And there you have it, guys. I hope that was useful. I encourage you all to have a go at manipulating text within Illustrator. You'll find countless opportunities to make really, really good text-based designs, especially if you're not a designer. You don't know quite how to illustrate or create graphics. You can do so much within just text to make really, really cool designs. And if you think this type of content is useful, make sure you drop a like. That's a good indication to me that you guys want to see more of this type of content. In the meantime, guys, you guys take care, and I will see you very, very soon.